It's the NFL in London podcast. Wade and Ryan here. Week 15. We had a week 14. It's very interesting as well, but 15's ahead of us. Philip Rivers, old man Rivers. What are they doing? Oh, man.
He's got a lot of kids to feed. He's got a lot of mouths to feed.
Well,
in
Christmas
that
is coming, right? So I guess he's got to afford all these presents.
Yeah,
God knows
he's the first grandfather to play in the NFL, I would assume.
Yeah,
maybe
his
now,
kid
probably
is
not.
old.
Probably not. I assume.
Well, no, I'm sure there's some guys that, I'm sure.
Yeah, we've got
a few of the guys have had a lot of kids.
I'm sure they
But it's going to be interesting to see because I remember seeing an interview where they're like, how much do you weigh? He's like, I don't even know. It's like, oh, that's a good sign going in. Just one big hit.
He might even start this week. Like, it's gotten that badly. And I think he will. I mean, who else are they going to put out there? I mean, it's right on the plate. I mean, I guess they're at least making the Colts interesting to watch, right? Because we were all just like, they're kind of toast with that Riley stuff. I don't know what his name was, who came in last week. Just terrible. Yeah. And it just kind of at least gives you a little bit of, keeps them a bit relevant, kind of makes it fun. This is like shit that comes out of a movie, the old Philip Rivers movie. An old man sitting on his rocking chair, and then he gets the call. We got one more run. You got one more run left in you, Philip.
If you're going to come back,
playoff exit in you.
Yeah, you want to come back against the Seahawks defense. I mean, that's the one that's really going to test to see. I mean, I could just see him going down first play, like Aaron Rodgers' comeback in the Jets kind of thing. Where it's like, he's down.
That'll also be funny.
But it'll be interesting. We'll go through some of the games. I mean, obviously, for a lot of people, congratulations. If you're in your fantasy football playoffs in the good round, not the garbage trash round. So there's a lot of that coming up for a lot of people. People will be screaming at their screens this week just to try to motivate their fantasy team to do something for them.
Yeah, I had a good year. I went 3 for 3 in mine, so I'm in the playoffs in every league. I don't feel confident I could win any of them, really, to be honest with you. Yeah. But it's nice to be. It's nice to be in the playoffs. It feels
nice to be in consideration.
When you go a couple of years of being absolute garbage and then you finally get in the playoffs, you're like, I can still do this.
Yeah, I'm not as hopeless.
It's not me.
Yeah. There's some teams, though, that are just sort of, you're like, oh, man, just press pause. Like, what are you doing? A lot of the guys, you wonder because some teams what the motivation is, and there's other teams that are desperate to make it, and I always find sometimes those teams never do. Like, they shoot themselves in the foot. Like, they're so desperate to make the playoffs, they screw up, and other teams like, nothing to lose, man. So these last few weeks are interesting as we head into Christmas. Let's start with our Thursday night game. Baker's got a couple guys coming back for him. Looks like Evans is going to be back in this one. Atlanta's 4-9. Tampa Bay 7-6. Tampa Bay is at home. 4.5 points is the spread. 44.5 is the over/under. They looked rough last week. They struggled against the Saints team. It was not good for Tampa Bay, and the defense, it used to be pretty good at containing the run, couldn't do anything. How do you feel about Tampa Bay's chances at home with an Atlanta team that you never know who's going to show up?
So weird. Sorry, all my games won't show up when you click on the internet. It goes into like preseason when you look at the NFL schedule. It's weird.
Oh, really? Okay.
Listen, I think if you're an Atlanta fan, which we have one in our lives, it's dark day. I think you're already on to, and you can't even be on to the draft because you've traded away your draft pick next year, which is literally, and now it's already looking like a top 10 to the Rams, who can now maybe, considering were they going to get a replacement for Stafford? Could they? They could just potentially just do that. They could also get another. That might just want to keep Stafford playing. And to me, I just think the Falcons are done. I think Kirk Cousins doesn't look competent. I don't care who comes back. The Bucs are now in just kind of like they're in a battle with the Panthers the rest of the way. I think they're going to play each other again. But to me, I think the Panthers potentially getting Mike Evans. Godwin's looking a bit better because the last couple of games has been really off. He's not really contributing. Yeah. They got like a 3-headed monster at running back, which is also a disaster for fantasy playoffs if you have one of these Bucs guys going in. Like, who do I play? I picked Bucky Irving in a bet last week at like 11 carries, and then they all had 11 carries. And you're like, this guy, you can't bet this anymore. You got to almost like bet the under. This is why there's so many unders in betting this year, is because of the numerous running back committees that keep happening. I just think the Falcons have given up, and Raheem Morris is now like on the hot seat. What do you do if they just kind of lose out and go like 4-13? That's a top 5 pick you just blew, and that GM might lose his job too. So I'll go with the Bucs to win this quite easily. I just think the Falcons are shot. I think these games sometimes kind of keep close, so I'm going to go 27-20 for the Bucs.
Yeah, I've got it 26-20 for that sort of same reason. I think Bucky Irving's going to have a good running game because Atlanta struggles to contain the run, and I think they're going to struggle with that again. I mean, which tools is Atlanta getting back? Who are they going to be able to move the ball with? So I don't really know in terms of that. To me, Atlanta's and Tampa Bay just has more to win in this one. As you say, they're fighting with the Panthers right now. So, this has got to be, everyone was touting them at the start of the season as probably one of the best teams in the NFC, and they've just fallen by the wayside. I think they want to see if they can turn that around. I don't know what Baker can do. He seems like he's sort of playing injured again, but I got it 26-20. Heading into our Sunday fun day slate of games, Arizona is 3-10, and what a disappointing season it has been for them. Kyler Murray is pretty much gone for that team. Houston has been seeing a resurgence. They're 9.5-point favorites as they stand 8-5, challenging the Jaguars for that division. 9.5-point spread, 42 points over under. Houston's defense has just been playing top tier. And Cardinals had a good defense going for a few weeks, and then it all fell apart, but they don't have a running game. They've got Michael Wilson pretty much as their only receiver. How can Arizona find any chances against this Houston team?
It's going to be tough, man. Like, the Texans' D is no joke. Nobody wants to play them. They took care of Mahomes last week. They shut down Josh Allen a couple weeks ago. They've just kind of anyone in their way. And this is that team. I don't think anybody wants to play in the playoffs, to be honest with you. I think if you're, especially when it gets into December, getting hit in the cold, that defense, like, you saw what they did to Mahomes. They were hitting him everywhere. Rasheed Rice got almost killed. Like, he was driving on the car. So I just think the Texans are just right now in that kind of sweet spot. But the offense looks a bit better. Higgins, they got that second round draft pick. I think Higgins, he's been really good. Nico Collins looks good. The running game's still, I think, iffy and not very competent. But I mean, poor Jacoby Brissett. I think he's going to be throwing it for his life. The good thing is you should have Marvin Harrison Jr. back. So I feel like the Cardinals could still have a decent enough offense to kind of not get blown out of the water. I think they can. Jacoby Brissett's just capable. I see this game being not a blowout because I don't think the Texans offense can blow out anybody, really. So I'm going to say the Cardinals keep it close. I'm going to go 23-20 that the Texans win.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, Houston's not a team that really puts up all these points. It's going to be one of those ones where they grind out these victories, relying on their defense to get things done. And, I just can't see, Houston like they used to being able to sort of blow them out. And Arizona's defense, I think, Arizona doesn't want to go down just looking like chumps, so they might come out swinging again. They got no running game, so they're going to have to rely. And I mean, Harrison sort of, he's been okay, but Michael Wilson seems to be the guy that's really getting the separation here. I'm with you. I don't see it's a high-scoring game, and I think 9.5 is a lot of points. So I've got it 21-14, low-scoring game. Houston gets the win, but Cardinals cover. Philadelphia struggling. There's rumors that Jalen Hurts might be benched. Eagles are 8-4. That's rumors.
I don't believe.
But 11.5-point favorites. AJ Brown is saying don't play me in your fantasy. We don't know what's going on. Vegas is even worse situation. I mean, Geno Smith and that front line are just absolutely atrocious. They're 2-11. Philadelphia 11.5-point favorites in this one. 36.5 over under. The weather will be frightful on the East Coast, it looks like, for Sunday as we get rid of some of these polar vortexes and snow and all this crap. And it's the running game. They finally got Saquon going, but really not that good. How do you like Philadelphia's chances at home where the boos will be raining down if they don't get this game going?
I know. It is dark days. Jalen Hurts, he was bad that game. Was it Monday night?
Yeah.
Two turnovers on one play. No one's ever really done that before in the history of fantasy, which is quite amazing. A nice -4 play.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with them. They feel like they do this every couple of years. They just have the year from hell. And right now, I mean, it's as bad as it looks. Like, Jalen Hurts looks. I just don't even understand how he plays so well in the playoffs. Like, he's like a different quarterback. Those Super Bowls are two of the best performances I've ever seen in a quarterback in a Super Bowl. Yeah. And then in the regular season like this, he looks terrible. Like he's never played football before. I feel like at least you're playing the Raiders. This has got to be the most easiest, thank God, game in the history. Yeah. I mean, what are the Raiders really going to do? No one could really, even, the Chargers were getting killed back there. Like, they were coming at them. They were hitting Herbert with his poor left hand. So I feel like Geno's going to get hurt. Genti's been just such a wasted pick. It just feels like you had
Yeah.
no offensive line and no real plan with this guy, and he's just been an absolute dud. Hopefully they can fix this because it's just looking like when you have these, top six picks, they're going to have it again. They got to get a quarterback and fix this because, and I don't know if you got to keep going with Pete Carroll because I don't see why going with a 74-year-old man is into this new age of like when you're starting over, you want like a Vrabel and Drake May together. You want that kind of these
Yeah.
guys at the hip, and you don't want one, that one might die on the before
Yeah.
this happens. So I'm going with the Eagles on a beatdown. I just think the Raiders are terrible. I don't think they're going to be competent. I'm going to go 28-10 for the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean Philadelphia at home. I just find that they're just not firing properly, and it should be an easy victory against the Raiders because they don't really have anything left. I just don't see Philly putting up that much of a beatdown. They haven't seemed to really put up those kind of numbers this year. So I think it's going to be more of a conservative game, especially coming after a short week for them. I've got them to win 23-16. I think it's 7 points. 11.5 is too much, but I don't think Philly's really blown out anyone by 12 points so far this year. So, I don't have them winning by much, but I have them winning. Jacksonville's got their winning ways, and talking about the former Raider, Jacoby Myers has really been finding his stride with Trevor Lawrence as they get this team together. Jacksonville 9-4. They're 13.5-point favorites over a New York Jets team who can't figure anything out. Jets are 3-10. 13.5, as I said, 41.5 over under. Should be a lot of rain going on in Florida. The Jaguars may have started out slow. And we didn't get the sort of best of them, but now we're starting to see them starting to find their rhythm and feeling quite discounted that no one's really touting them as possible contenders in the AFC. How do you feel about them at home?
Well, it's because, I think they have a track record of letting you down constantly. And we don't even know it. I don't think anyone would feel good about this. I mean, they're running it better than they have in the last little while. Travis Etienne's finally kind of, he started off strong and they traded. Who's that guy? They traded him to Philly. Forget it. They're backup because they're like, we're going to go with ETN. And then halfway through the season, disappeared.
Oh, Tank Bigsby?
Yeah, Tank Bigsby. That's it, right? So everyone thought, oh, this is going to be the ETN year. And then this like other guy, Bhutan or Zutan or whatever, coming in, Steve Vulture. The defense is strong. I just don't trust them. I think they can beat the Jets. I don't think they beat them by 14. I think the Jets... I don't know. The Jets sometimes play a bit plucky. I mean, maybe Garrett Wilson comes back this week. It feels like they need something to give this team some hope.
Yeah.
But I think if you're a Jets fan, you're just cheering for the number 1-2 pick so you can get your quarterback and try this old train trip again. So I'm going with the Giants to win this. I'm going to go 27-14, 13. I'm going to go. They don't cover it.
I can't see the. Yeah, I don't see Jets really putting up anything here. I mean, who have they got? The quarterback seems to be off. I don't know who they're going to be quarterbacking this week. Is it Tyrod? And I just think Jacksonville is now playing for, they know, because they're going to watch, they're keeping an eye on the Houston game as well. So I like Jacksonville to win this one. I've got them to win easily 30-10. I think I don't usually like to take big spreads like that, but with the Jets, why the hell not? Going into Chicago, the Bears are 9-4. A bad mistake right at the end. Could have tied it up, but they didn't. Caleb made a mistake. A lot of could have done, could have, should have, would have. They're 9-4. They're on their 7.5-point favorites, hosting Cleveland. Cleveland 3-10, 39.5 points over under. Supposed to be snowy in Chicago, of course. Lots of snow in North America right now. Cleveland, the only thing they've got for them is Myles Garrett. Shadur Sanders is
Shadur looked better. But he looked all right last week.
He looks better. He's the starter for the rest of the year. So
yeah.
And it looked like he was wearing a thong last week when he bent down. I don't know. I think his brother was mentioning about this. Chicago at home. How do you like a 7.5-point favorites and a 39.5 over under?
Yeah, like Shadur did play. He put up almost 40 fantasy points. He was just below Josh Allen as the number 1 fantasy scorer. So that's something. Considering how bad it was with Gabriel, even anyone else kind of going in. I think this game is going to be a bit closer. I think Shadur could I think the Browns defense and Myles Garrett is just going to make Caleb's life hell. We don't know, is Odunze going to be back? If he's going to be back, and just again, I have Caleb as my fantasy quarterback in the playoffs, and I do not want to play him this week. I want to bench him for someone because he's just going against this tough Cleveland defense. I just think they can. I know. I don't want to. There's no way I can do that. That would be such a classic get eliminated because of that. So I just can't do it. Yeah. Even if Shadur plays well, I don't want him on my team. I'm going to be I'm like all the other GMs. I don't want him anywhere near my team. Sowing discontent. So I'm gonna go with the Bears. I think coming off a tough loss last week, that was a bad play by Caleb at the end. He had DJ Moore open underneath, just got a bit excited and it just underthrew it. It was just a weird throw. I couldn't believe he did it. So I think the Bears, the fact that they're at home, they're an opportunistic team. They get turnovers. This Bears team is
Yeah.
just like they're all over the ball. So I think I could see some Shadur turnovers. Get that running game going. I think the Bears take care of business and kind of get back on track because they went from the first seed to the seventh seed with that loss
Yeah.
after that game.
1 week.
Like that just shows you like how big these games are now. Like they lose again, they're probably not in the playoffs. So I think Bears at home got to take care of business against the Browns. If you're a playoff team in December, you beat the smaller, crappier team. So I'm gonna go with the Bears to win 24-20. I think it'll be a close one though.
Yeah, I've got it 24-18. Same reason. I think Cleveland will cover. Just on the back of that defense, the pressure that they'll be able to put on. And, we can be susceptible to the running game. So Judkins can have a good day maybe against us, maybe a 100-yard day, which would not be good. But at least, I think we're, as I say, get the victory at home. Hopefully Caleb is not going to make some boneheaded moves like he has before. The defense will be on him, but our offensive line has stepped up a bit. So I love Chicago to win this one, but Cleveland to cover. Heading into New England, this is a big game for Ryan. 11-2 New England Patriots hosting the Buffalo Bills, who are 9-4. Buffalo favored by 1.5 points in this one. 49.5 point over under in this one. Points aplenty in this one. It should be cold up in Boston.
Yeah.
But, you guys struggled with these guys last time. How do you like your chances a second time against this Patriots squad and a Drake May who's been playing MVP football?
Yeah, listen, I mean, they're coming off a bye, so they've had extra time to prepare. I like the Bills this week. I'm not. I think the first time they played it, the first time was the Bills had 3 turnovers. They were ugly. They were turning the ball over, couldn't do anything. And Drake May kind of had his coming out party that day. Had a really big game. Didn't score any touchdowns. Still had 0 touchdowns that game. But look, they've been on a 10-game winning streak, kind of taking care of everything. The Bills' defense is better than it has been. It's terrible still in the first half. For some reason, it decides that they don't want to play football in the first half, and then they fix it.
Yeah.
So I think Drake May is going to struggle a bit. I think the Patriots have injuries to the left side of their line, which the Bills have to kind of take advantage of. So it's going to be harder for them to run. And the Patriots have kind of been a mixed bag when it comes to running. Like Trevion Hendricks, they don't have it committed to anyone. Ramondre can come in and Hendricks. It's just there. I just think the Bills right now, they know that if they lose, the Patriots win the division. They don't want to give the division up yet. I think the Patriots are feeling themselves. And I think the Bills have to just contain Stephon Diggs because he was the guy that killed them last week. They got to get some pressure on Drake May and not let him kind of roll out to the right, kind of like Josh Allen. And Josh Allen just has to do what he does. I think the Bills are a better running game team than they were when they met the first time. So I think James Cook can have a big game as long as there's a fumble into the end zone. I just think the Bills are primed, ready to kind of pissed off that they lost that first game, and everyone's talking about the Patriots as the new Kings. And I think Josh Allen just going to show who the MVP is and put a team on his back like he always does. And I'm going to go 29-26 Bills win. I think it'll be a close one.
Close to my score. I've got it 28-26 for Buffalo as well in this one. And same reasons. I think this is the vengeance time. Had you guys beat them the first time, I think maybe you might wouldn't have the same motivation, but now it's like
I'd probably pick the Pats.
Yeah, it's like we can't go 0-2 to these guys, and we can't lose the division in this game. So there's a lot more, I think, momentum for Buffalo in this. I think they're going to be a lot more focused, and as you say, shut down Diggs because he ripped them apart last time. Keep the pressure on that left side. Run the ball up the pocket, just keep running it at them, and then let Josh Allen do his thing and use his legs. I mean, a beautiful running touchdown last week. So, yeah, again, I like Buffalo at home. I just think it's going to be a tight game, and it's going to be a glorious game.
It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great game.
28-26. I'd watch it on Red Zone, but Red Zone's too loud and too many commercials. Moving in to Cincinnati, where Baltimore is 2.5-point favorites. Baltimore 6-7, Cincinnati 4-9. About to close a coffin on this team. 51.5 is the over/under in this one. T. Higgins was on my bench last week, and he had a heck of a game. Cincinnati at home, and it seems surprising to me that Baltimore is favored in this one, sort of tipping my hat to which way I think this game's going to go. What do you think? Is this a slight to Cincinnati and Burrow, who's been bolstered by coming back and playing some good football?
I mean, Joe Burrow is the scariest quarterback to play against. He was so good last week. That first half against
Yeah,
Buffalo, even in the snow, he was just picking Buffalo apart, dropping passes in buckets. And he's even like they had a little talk here. He's just demoralized right now, talking about
yeah,
potential retirement. And Bengals fans are having a freak out right now. I just
yeah.
think the Ravens are broken. I think Lamar's hurt. I think again he's missing practice again this week. I think Derrick Henry's feels like he's lost a step. I think if we were ever going to say if there was a season, this feels like the one where the first game against Buffalo, he looked younger, looked like he was 20 years old again, and as the season's worn on, he just hasn't been the same. Can't break it. I think the Bengals offense can move the ball. I think they did it all day against Buffalo. Buffalo just got timely turnovers that kind of changed the game. And the Bengals were on their way to kind of ending that game, putting it out, putting it away when they
Hmm.
got that pick six. So to me, I think the Bengals, even though they're not technically dead, but they kind of are because this division could be
Yeah.
such a mess. Ravens lose this week. They got to play the Steelers again. They got to play the Patriots next week. So the Ravens could just go like 7-10, and who knows? The Steelers got the Dolphins today later on Monday night.
Yeah.
So 8-9 winning the division isn't out of the realm possibility. I'm going the Bengals to win. I think they got the better quarterback who's healthier. They got better weapons, a better offense, and their defense is playing a bit better. So I'm going to go with them to win 33 to 27. No, to 24. 33 to 24. I'm going to go the double score.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I think it's a bit of a mistake to sort of, say that Baltimore's a favorite in this one just because I think Cincinnati's hungrier. And just watching the trio of receivers that he has at his disposal and being able to drop this around, they get their running game going as well. And to your point, Baltimore just. I don't know what's wrong with Lamar. It's mental, it's physical, it's just he doesn't
Yeah.
seem to be there. The team doesn't seem to be well. The defense is also struggling when they made so many key additions there. They just feel like they're faltering, and I don't see a way that they're going to pick themselves up. Cincinnati at 4-9. I mean, technically they do have a chance, but you almost feel like you got to hold the glass up to the nose on them to see if they're still breathing every game. I think that Bills loss was tough because they were in this game and they were playing the game quite well for a while. So I've got Cincinnati to win at 30-20, covering that spread. I just don't know how. I think Baltimore, when they get down, they're going to make some mistakes. Kansas City. We talk about circling the drain, and the
Ooh.
Chiefs are 6-7. They're 5.5 point favorites over Chargers team that got a win last week, but they got more injuries. They still
Yeah.
didn't look that great. The offensive line is struggling. Chargers are 8-4. Kansas City 5.5 point favorites in Arrowhead, 41.3. I mean, you could see the Chiefs, you could see it all over everyone's face, just the disappointment. And they were very much struggling last week. How do you find them against another division game here? Chiefs at home against the Chargers.
I mean, I want to take the Chiefs. I'm going to take the Chiefs just because it feels like they have to win. They got to win out, and they need a lot of help because basically every team that's above them in the standings, they lost the tiebreaker to. They lost to Jacksonville. They lost to Houston. They lost to Buffalo. They've lost to Indianapolis. They've lost to like Houston. They lost to
Yeah.
everyone who could take them. I don't know what they kind of need the Colts to fall off. They need the Chargers to fall off, which is a possibility. Like the Chargers have a tough road to get
Hmm.
ahead of games coming up, so the end of the year. And I think Mahomes, I think at home, the fact that they're at home and they know they lose this, it's all over. For even though it feels like it's over. Again,
Hmm.
this is just they kind of made a mistake. They thought they had the receivers and they ignored the running back position. You're going with Kareem Hunt and Pacheco, who are terrible, and Mahomes has to be your number one runner every single week. But I think the fact that the Chargers, those injuries, they're going to be kind of blitzing. Spags is going to have a field day with that offensive line, putting pressure on Herbert. And I'm going with just who's the desperate team. I think the Chargers got a big win last week against the Eagles, which I didn't. I think a lot of people probably thought they might lose. And so penciled that one in as a loss. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs to win this in a kind of tight one. I'm going to go 23-18.
I've got Kansas City to win. Same reason, cover the spread. This is do or die for them. I think that loss really galvanized just how desperate it is. And to your point, there's so much math that they need to happen for them to actually have a
Yeah.
chance at getting in there. But the only way you can get there is keep winning. And the Chargers, it was an emotional victory for them last week, but they still don't seem to be really there. The offense struggles, and Justin Herbert and teams, it's just with the offensive line, he's really struggling to get it together here. So I don't like their chances against a desperate Kansas City team at home. I've got Kansas City to win 26-20. And, I could just see the Chargers, as you say, with so many tough games coming up, struggling in every one of them. Heading into our final game of the 1 o'clock slate, and it's just not a very good game.
Thanks.
As the 2-11 New York Giants are 2.5-point favorites against a Washington team, which again will lose Jaden Daniels. It looks like Marcus Mariota will be there. They're 3-9. 5 wins between both of these teams. 2.5, as I say, for the Giants. 47 points is the over-under in this one. Giants favored at home. Weather will be crap. What do you think in this one with Washington? With McLaurin was really their only shining light, but how are you going to get the ball to him?
Yeah, I mean, the Commanders, what a disastrous year. I don't think anyone saw it as this bad. And the fact that, again, they should just shut down Jaden. I just worry about Jaden Daniels' career if they don't do something. They either got to, they got to get him another weapon to pass to, or they got to get him offensive line help or a running back that can kind of take the load off him because he's just not big enough to do it. I think the Giants win this. I think the Giants are, at least Jackson Dart's probably going to outplay Marcus Mariota, even though the Commanders did look good. They almost beat the Broncos a couple weeks ago playing them. But I just think the Giants are at home. MetLife probably will take the knees out of somebody. Usually we can expect that, especially with the injuries the Commanders are having. They're probably just keeping Jane Daniels away from this field and just being like, no, you know what, you are injured. So I'm gonna go with the Giants to win. I hate everything about this game. I think the fans are angry. This is like nobody wants to watch. This isn't even a corner TV game. This is just check my phone late. Oh, they won, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So I probably won't have much insight into this game. I'm not going to watch it. I have no one in fantasy in this game, so I'm going to go Giants to win 2017.
Yeah, I got it 21-16 for the Giants. Same thing. I mean, just ugly. Both these teams have, really, and this was a chance if you really could rally with a weakened Philly team. There was a chance that someone could, really put together something in this division, and they're just not putting it together. And so, it's too bad all around. It's just an ugly game. Again, I'm going with the Giants to win this one. 21-16, ugly, fugly, juggly, just everything bad. 4 o'clock slate has some good games. It could see Old Man Rivers in this one as the Colts are desperate.
Ooh, baby.
8-4, heading into Seattle, who are on fire. Their defense is playing well. Sam Darnold's playing well. Seattle's 9-3, but the 13.5-point favorites, 42.5 over under. All struggles, all hands on deck in Colts land. How do you like them heading into Seattle this weekend?
I mean, the Rivers story is fun, but again, like you said, going against the Seahawks is not the best side. I mean, if you're playing the Raiders, it would have been great. Let them come out there. Great little story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he starts again, he's got weapons. He's got Tyler Warren, he's got Michael Pittman, he's got Alec Pierce, he's got Jonathan Taylor to kind of run it. So I mean, we haven't seen him play in 5 years. But he's got to be better than what was his name, Riley Johnson or whoever his name was that kind of came in. The fact that they don't have Trent Richardson. I mean, this just has Seattle blowout written all over it because again, it's in Seattle. Tough place to play, loud. And to me, this is just a Colts team desperate. And I think that, Rivers, that ball is going to be like the old Roethlisberger milk jugs throwing them. I think they're going to be ducks kind of just floating like this. A couple interceptions. I think it's going to be kind of fun. I would love for Rivers to start the game, go open the drive, down the field, touchdown would be great. Kind of get everyone excited. Then a couple turnovers. Yeah. But I think Seahawks right now, I think they're number 1 seed in the NFC, or them and the Rams battling that out. So this is a big game because the Rams got the Lions coming up. Same time. So I think Seahawks win this. Colts, the free fall continues. I just think Seahawks, that defense is just too good. But I think Colts can keep it close. So I'm going to go 24-21 for the Seahawks.
I don't see the Colts keeping it close. I mean, because you're having to get desperate when you start going down. And Seahawks can put up points. Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to have a feast of a game because that defense has struggled a bit. So I've got it 33-18. I don't know how the Colts are going to score any points in this one. I think Phillip Rivers is in for a rude awakening. And if he does play, he was coaching high school football this year. So I don't know how he does look, a little, it looks like he's been well fed. So
maybe he's got some really good plays. Maybe he made some nice plays, and he's like, I got these
Maybe he
killer
did.
plays. I
Some
need to go to the NFL and
quarterback
try them.
sneak. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Let's
Yeah.
go to another big game here. We've got Green Bay 9-3-1, 2.5 point favorites against a Denver team who's 11-2. Denver is at home, and Green Bay said 2.5 point favorites. 43 points is the over/under. Green Bay barely nudges out the Bears last week. But Denver too, 11-2. They've got control of their division right now. Is this disrespect to the Broncos to be underdogs at home when they've got such a good record?
I mean, the Broncos are again great team, great defense. Again, do the like kind of like the Patriots. It's like, are they as good as their record? I don't really know. I think this is a really good matchup for them. I think the Broncos, they took care of Kansas City a couple weeks ago, but everyone's kind of done that now. So we don't even know if that's the accomplishment it used to be. I think the Packers are getting a bit, they're getting a bit healthier. They're getting some receivers back. Christian Watson looks really good, but he's going to be up
Mm-hmm.
against Sertan, which is going to make it really tough. So I think the Broncos. I think it's going to be a tough game for the Packers. I am going to take the Packers, though. I think the fact that I just think Jordan Love's better than Bo Nix. I think that equal defense. Micah Parsons been a monster lately. I think he can get the pressure on them, make Bo Nix make some mistakes. They're still, they got RJ Harvey. He's a good running back, but he's not proven in December. And I think the Packers are just kind of almost. I know the Broncos. They might, especially if the Patriots lose to the Bills, they might have that like just, oh, we can afford to take this. But the Packers, they're in the fight for the division. They're in the fight for the playoffs. So they, again, like you said, they lose, they could get knocked completely out. So I'm going to go with the Packers to win. I'm going to go 27-24. I think it'll be a fun game.
Not surprisingly, I'm taking the Broncos in this one, and it's only because at home, and I think it's a bit of disrespect. They don't like being disrespected in this. The other thing is Jordan Love gets flustered, and when he gets flustered, he makes mistakes, and I think he's going to make mistakes just as his defense is going to be playing. They've got some time here. I think they're focused. Denver at home, and I just think that they've got the team to win. They're going to grind it out of here. So I've got Denver to win 23-20. I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be a little bit low scoring because I think the defense are going to sort of stagnate each other. Could be a game of field goals, but I got Denver to pip out a win in this one. The battle of the division here is 7-6 Carolina are 2.5 point favorites against over a New Orleans team who are 3-10. New Orleans played a little rebound football last week. 40.5 is the over/under as New Orleans is at home. 2.5 point favorites for Carolina. Bryce Young has been looking better this year. How do you think he's going to go against a team where we say the Saints have? They might be 3-10, but there's a few games they were pretty close.
Yeah, that's lucky.
There were sort of just tight losses. How do you like the Saints at home?
I mean, I don't, in a word. I just think the Panthers, again, they've had 2 weeks, they've had a bye, so they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. They now probably never thought they'd be in this position, 7-6. So this is a big game for Bryce Young. Again, he's had some good games, but it's about stacking them, especially coming into December. This is what it gets. I know it's in the dome, so it's not really as bad, but this is where it gets hard. This is where the real football starts after Thanksgiving. They've now had 2 weeks to prepare for this, with kind of knowing exactly what's gone on Thursday night. Especially if somehow the Bucks can lose to Atlanta, they'll have a chance at the division. So I think they're going to be locked in. I think Ted McMillan's been really good. I think they'll get Rico Dowdle kind of back going. I think they're kind of now going a bit back more to Chuba Hubbard, bringing him in because Dowdle's been kind of disappointing. But to me, this is all about Bryce Young. Bryce Young has to step up, have his best game of the year. He's fighting for a division. I think he's also fighting for his job, like to keep being the quarterback of this team. So, and I think goes a long way to taking care of business, especially against a division rival. But I think that this game will be close. Like you said, the Saints are just kind of a fun little plucky team that kind of makes every game kind of come into the mud with us and fight. So I'm gonna go 21-20 for the Panthers to win. Just a very close game.
Yeah, New Orleans. I think it's going to be a low-scoring, tight game. New Orleans doesn't give up that easily, and they've been able to spread this ball around. But again, Carolina, it's that point I said earlier, sometimes you might, if you're that desperate, sometimes teams that are playing desperate play poorly. I don't know if that's going to happen here. It's just because, to your point, they had the week off, and hopefully they don't do that. New Orleans might be on a bit of a roll going, hey, we got to win. But I've got Carolina to win this one 20. 4 points. I think they'll just barely cover the spread, but it should be a tight game, and it could come down to the wire in this one. This game, big. We're talking about the NFC and who's the best in the NFC. Detroit 8-5 Obviously they've struggled and haven't been as dominant as they were last year, but the Rams have been dominant. They're 10-3 and 6-point favorites at home. 55 points is the over/under. Vegas is telling us lots of points available in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Rams at home, 6 points. Is that tough on Detroit? Can Detroit finally get their mustard together after sort of struggling a bit this season?
Well, yeah, this does have shootout written all over it, right? They had that bounce back with the Cowboys, being able to put up like 44 on them. They kind of felt they're the Lions. They're just so back and forth that they're not being able to put these offensive performances back to back. Like Goff's good, then he's terrible, then he's great, then he's mediocre, and it's all just about Gibbs. But to me, I just don't see how they can stop Puka Nacua and the way Matt Stafford's playing this year. They even got Blake Corum running really well now, and Kyron Williams. Right for the fantasy playoffs, Kyron Williams getting handcuffed by Blake Corum, all pissing.
Yeah.
We're getting people eliminated from like myself, getting them eliminated. I just think the Rams are too strong. I think they're at home. I think the Lions, I just can't trust which Lions team I'm going to see. Dan Campbell's calling the plays. But if I'm going to say who's going to be the better play caller in a shootout, am I going to check Sean McVay or Dan Campbell? I'm going Sean McVay. And I'm going with Matt Stafford. I think Stafford's going to win MVP. I think he's playing better than Drake May is playing right now, as good as Drake May has been. I think this is Stafford's to win. I think they want to get it for him. I don't think he's ever won it before, so I think they're going to take care of business at home. But I think it's going to be a fun game. I'm going 31-27 for the Rams.
I've got it 31-23 for the Rams, and it's always good to see Goff and Stafford face each other again. This Lions-Rams kind of game, just because it's sort of a homecoming for both of them. To be able to go, yeah, I remember this. And Stafford obviously racked up a lot of losses playing for Detroit. So it's always a sweet victory just to be able to beat the old team like this. I just don't know if Detroit has that punchback power that they used to.
No.
With St. Brown sort of getting injured, the running games haven't been as demonstrative. They're not, and I think losing Laporta as well, you see struggles there. So I just think Detroit doesn't have the ability to keep up with this Rams team, which is, to my if I'm going to choose the best team in the NFL right now, it's going to be the Rams. And so I like the Rams to continue their winning ways. 31-23, Detroit struggles in a loss. San Fran's also coming off a bye. They're 9-4. They're 12.5-point favorites over a Tennessee team that was putting up some points last week, but still not enough. They're in last place, 2-11 as well. 44.5 points is the over-under. San Fran at home, they're rested. Brock Purdy wants to, put his stamp on his team. They've got some healthy guys back. Does Tennessee have a chance heading into Billie Jean's Levi's Stadium?
No. I mean, they were terrible. They're just a bad team. There's no way they're going to be able to keep up with Kyle Shanahan and this, that tough Niners defense. Cam Ward going on the road. They did look better offensively against the Browns. It was actually quite a weirdly exciting bit of a shootout game that they had. But to me, this again, like you said, Brock Purdy's had some ugly games, so he wants to have that. And I think this is a perfect one. Get him hot, get him on a run into the playoffs, because the Niners it doesn't matter what they do. They just can't seem to catch the division, because Seattle's not losing. The Rams aren't losing. And they're going to be 10-4 and in third place, in your division, which is almost like unheard of. And considering that the Niners they did have one of the easier schedules in the league. They take care of business when they have to. Shanahan's not going to drop. He doesn't lose these games. Shanahan takes care of. He beats the bad teams when he has to. So I just see no way the Titans can be competitive. I see a big Christian McCaffrey game. I see George Kittle getting involved. And I think this is going to it says beat down written all over it. So I'm going to go 30-13 for the Niners.
Yeah, I've got it 30-16. The same reason here. It's just, they're fresh. They've got that week off. They know now how competitive this division is, trying to keep pace with those Rams, and knowing, there's how tight the playoff spots are going to be with, if Chicago loses, if other teams lose, the momentum and week 15, how many more weeks we've got. You've only got 4 more weeks of football, so how many more wins can we put together? If you go 13-4, is that enough to get first place? Who knows? But yeah, I've got them to win it 30-16. The Sunday night game is not really a Funday night game, as Dallas 6-1, 6-point favorites. 47.5 is the over-under, as they're hosting a Minnesota team who's 5-8. You don't know who you're getting with J.J. McCarthy. Can be absolutely atrocious, and other times he can be adequate. But Dallas does have a bit of a weak defense, although Dak has been throwing a lot. Pickens obviously is going to get in for a big payday next year. Dallas at home, Jerry will be there. the crowd, he's gonna want his soldiers to play for him. How do you think about Dallas at home with this
I
Minnesota
mean,
team?
I mean, it's. I don't think CeeDee Lamb's going to play. He looked like he had a bad concussion last week, so it's going to be the Pickens show. And they were actually okay offensively when Lamb got injured earlier in the season and missed some time. I just think again, like you said, I don't know which nine we're going to see. Which nightmare version of
Yeah,
him that we've seen, or he was actually quite competent last week. Against a
yeah.
terrible team that they beat. I just think the Cowboys right now are just kind of the more desperate team. The Vikings are just like. Justin Jefferson's just like, just give me 100 yards, just like make me feel like I'm
Yeah.
playing the game again. So I don't think they're playing for anything really in particular, other than just seeing JJ McCarthy be competent. Where Dallas, on the other hand, they still got some life left in them. They got this. They're back in the race. I know it's going to be tough. They pretty much have to win out. They can't lose anymore, drop anymore. And I'm sure they got a couple easy ones, probably one more tough one in them. I think the Cowboys can do it. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys to win this. I just think they're a better team. The defense has been playing better, and just make JJ McCarthy beat you. That should be your game plan. And the defense has been playing better. So I'm going to go 27-20 for the Cowboys to win.
Yeah, I think it'd be a lot of points in this one, just because Dallas does have that porous defense, and this could be the game where I think that McCarthy does play well, just because Dallas does have some holes there. Justin Jefferson, getting him on board, obviously this could be a shootout. So I've got it 31-27. Dallas wins. Minnesota keeps it a little closer than the 6 points. I think they're going to really want to try to slug it out here, and I'd like Dallas to win at home, but Minnesota to cover. Monday night game. Hey, here we go. Miami 6-7. Pittsburgh 7-6. 3.5 points is the over. Under in this one, 41.5 is the points total. 3.5 point spread. Pittsburgh, Aaron Rodgers, sometimes he doesn't look well, and other times he looks great. DK Metcalf was supposed to be back and healthy in this one. Miami has struggled in the defense, but they've got their running game going, which Pittsburgh has been susceptible to. How do you like Pittsburgh at home on a Monday night game with Aaron Rodgers in the spotlight?
I mean, I do. I do like Pittsburgh. I think for a couple of reasons. I think the Dolphins have been beating up bad teams to kind of get themselves back in the playoff hunt. I just think, again, I think Jalen Ramsey can take care of Jalen Waddle. I just don't know who the Dolphins really throw to. They got Waller back, who's a bit better, playing a bit better. And Achan's getting banged up a bit. I think he got banged up last week. And I just think the Steelers are going to know. They're watching, depending on what happens in the Cincinnati game, they got a chance to get probably like a 2-game lead on this division regardless of who wins. So to me, this is a bigger game. Even though the Dolphins are playing for, technically, are still in the fight. They're the same record as the Chiefs. But I just think the Steelers at home, that defense is going to make it tough. You get to two in the prime time is not great. He tends to turn it over a bunch. And I think if you can just kind of again, you don't want Achan to be running all over you, but with his injuries and the offensive line, I just think the Dolphins are always bad against good teams. That's kind of been their MO. They can't beat teams over 500. So I'm going to say that stays. I'm going 23-20 Steelers win.
Yeah, I don't know how Miami's going to keep up in this one, because if Pittsburgh does get the lead and shut them down, Miami's going to probably make some mistakes, and that Pittsburgh defense will make you pay for it. I think, again, since we both think Cincinnati's going to beat the Ravens in this one, I got Pittsburgh to win. They're going to see everything that's going on, so I've got Pittsburgh to win 21-14. They get job done. They go to 8-6, and as you say, take a little bit of load in this division. That's it for our Week 15 picks, folks. Good luck to everyone. And we'll talk to you next week once we see what happens. But good luck in your fantasy playoffs, everybody.